Today I fucked up by making my entire physics class have to watch a 20-minute educational video about risk assessments while doing the world's safest experiment. Today I had to do a very simple practical experiment in my physics class. You drop a ping pong ball a certain distance and time it with a stopwatch. Repeat trials with different heights and use this to find air resistance, etc, etc. We all get put into groups of 3 and we're standing around all of the different lab benches with the stuff we need for our experiment: ping pong ball, stopwatch, and crucially a heavy 1-meter long wooden ruler that was broken at one end and had a pointy tip. My friend who is standing on the other side of the lab bench asks me to pass him the ruler. I flicked it hard across the bench, planning for it to end up about 40 centimeters to his side. Instead, the end of it hits the edge of the sink on the lab bench and it changes direction. My friend is slightly shorter than me and as a result his crotch is in line with the top of the lab bench. The pointy front end of the ruler hits him directly in the nuts. He falls to the ground in pain and begins vigorously and loudly swearing at me. My physics teacher was unfortunately passing us by at that exact moment, and my friend's loud swearing causes her to think that I've mortally injured him. After she found out what had happened, we had to stop our experiment, sit down and watch the most boring 20-minute video on risk assessments in a science lab, before writing a risk assessment. We then had to conduct the experiment while wearing lab coats and safety glasses to prevent injury. After class everyone yelled at me for forcing them to watch the stupid video and do a risk assessment. Too long, didn't read. Doing really simple and safe science experiment, accidentally hit friend in nuts with pointed end of ruler. Class has to watch a stupid video on risk assessment, write a risk assessment and then wear safety gear to do experiment. Sorry to you /Suckmanbit for being the victim of a ball stabbing. Bro, as a science student, knowing that you had to repeat it while wearing lab coats just had me giggling so much. I guess that you need PPE for working with acids or other corrosive compounds, but for physics, which is all macroscopic anyway, no unnecessary haha. Hope your friend is okay. And you wanna know what the worst part is? At least in my uni they're scared shitless of people hurting themselves, so the most dangerous stuff we've ever used was what? 0.1 m sulfuric acid? Yeah, sure, it'd probably hurt if you got it on your skin, but it's not 3rd-degree chemical burn levels of bad. And it was all done in a fume hood with pipettes, so there was like, literally no way to fuck it up. People tell me in the old days they didn't have pro pipettes. Instead, liquids were sucked into the glass pipette with your mouth. Or while trying to make a buffer solution they just add NH3 to acid until there was excess ammonia and you literally found the end point by smelling. Kinda crazy how safer things have gotten since. I do remember we were once doing electrolysis and you had to acidify the reaction with sulfuric acid as well. But it was first year and we had no fucking clue how to be careful in the lab, and a friend moved the reaction glass a bit too much and some acid solution spilled all over the counter. Fun times. My high school physics teacher gave us lollipops as a treat one day, and a classmate managed to cut his tongue on it and had to go to the nurse. She brought in band-aids the next time she brought in food and made sure it was always something soft. Was it a square Jolly Rancher one? Those things become lethal weapons after a few minutes of tilde licking tilde sharpening. And no cup? So with all that, he still woulda got his gibbly bits impaled. That's what I was thinking. After all that, the proposed safety plan still didn't address the original injury. I was teaching diffraction to a bunch of juniors as a freshman in college. So basically I have no power over them. With diffraction you use a laser pointer. Not only did we all have sunglasses on, I stood in the back of the classroom as to not get lasered. I'm helping a girl with her worksheet and these kids are not only pointing them at cars, but a group of boys has found a stray cat to tease through the window with the laser pointer. They immediately decide that my eye's the best place to put the laser pointer and I just gave them all zeros. I was not in the mood. 3rd semester mole, biology, physics practical cows. Eyes do not look into the microscope when the light is on 100% and you don't have any sample in there. 5 minutes later. My eyes. Meanwhile, my high school physics teacher would make rockets out of 2-liter bottles and shoot them at our chemistry teacher. My high school AP physics and AP chemistry teachers were pretty fantastic, but I don't think the stuff we did then would ever be allowed nowadays. In chemistry we got to make thermite and ignite it for one of our labs, with extra credit given for the team that produced the highest temperatures. We also got to toss big enough chunks of sodium into a bucket of water to cause explosions, followed by nearly setting a shed on fire when sodium chunks landed there, followed by splashes of water. In physics we made a bunch of water balloons, weighed them, and then used a 3-man slingshot to launch them with a high-speed camera and backing board to calculate the kinetic energy and compare it to predictions based on measured spring constants of the slingshots. Then we launched them at people to compare the effects of different energy levels, resulting in a bruise across my entire upper arm and chest when I was hit by a water balloon moving at a measured speed north of 100 miles per hour. We also got to choose our own final projects, where my group built a pumpkin chunk in trebuchet to launch those gourds as far as possible. Today I fucked up by getting sexy with my girlfriend on her school essay. This happened just a couple minutes ago, and I'm red-faced without even having to be in the room. I was in my online classes, when my girlfriend messaged me about proofreading the essay she wrote on Google Docs for an extra credit opportunity. I went through her essay, leaving comments on the sidebar on how she could grammatically improve it. Everything was going well, and she was frequently replying to things I wrote. Near the end, I decided to throw in a funny comment onto the sidebar, one that I expected that only she was going to be reading. In the sentence Phelps dominates his competition in races, I highlighted the word dominates and commented, "You can dominate me. I think you know where this is going." He immediately responded with, "My teacher can see that," and I deleted the comment within seconds. I reassured myself, thinking, oh, I'm sure he didn't see it, he was probably somewhere else on the document. Quite the opposite, actually. To my horror, my girlfriend texted me that the whole class is laughing, and I realized that not only was I proofreading this essay with her and the teacher, but I was proofreading it on the projector in front of the whole class. Let's just hope people find it funny in a good way. Too long didn't read. I told my girlfriend that she could dominate me while proofreading her essay, which was visible to her entire class. P.S. The log on the document showed that we were the only two viewing the document, which is why I assumed it was safe to add that comment. Edit: I was initially confused as to why it was being shown to the class, but I asked and had it cleared up for me. Copied from one of my comments, my girlfriend said that the teacher had her share the essay with the class as an example for what he was looking for when having someone proofread. The document was only put up once I looked done, and bad timing led to my fuck up. Why the hell would she be sharing, with the entire class, an unfinished and actively being edited essay? That doesn't even remotely make sense. I was wondering the same. Like, if you are proofreading it with someone, then why are you sharing it with the class and the professor in real time? I mean, I don't think that any class member would care about watching someone proofread their essay for like 1 hour straight. What kind of class assignment is this? Sounds super weird. Live streaming an edit session with a class member's boyfriend? No world could I imagine how this would occur. So fucking weird. Not buying it. Even if you deleted it, Google Docs autosaves and keeps a record of all edits. Once you put it in there, it's there to find later. Don't put private things on work/school documents or emails. There's a time and place for things. Judging it's a school assignment, guess you'll learn this the hard way through life experience, as you just did. She's probably more embarrassed than you, considering she had to face her peers. Lol. She doesn't sound upset at all, but it's hard to tell through text, so I'm actually hoping they pinned it on me rather than her. It's my fuck up, it shouldn't be hers. You know, it's common courtesy to inform someone if they're in a shared environment, like dialing into someone's office and they put you on speakerphone. Said person should say, "Hey, you're on speaker with X and Y here." It prevents this sort of issue. Today I fucked up by becoming a suspected serial killer. I used to have a pretty big internet footprint, back when the web was much smaller, and Usenet was king. I spent way too many years in school, flaming and trolling 18 hours a day. Consequently, if I was ever offline for an extended period of time, it was noticed. 2002 was just such a time. I had graduated from LSU, having spent an extra year there, acquiring useless transfer credits, and then moved to Ruston to attend Louisiana Tech University. When I got there, I set up a new account. New ISP, new IPs, new Usenet account. And I decided to make a funny. Well, it was funny to me, anyway. My first post was in all caps, signed with my wife's name, and her real phone number. Some of you may know my husband Jason. He's been arrested for the murder of 3 prostitutes in the Eunice area. If you have any information that can free or convict him, please contact me. Immediately, the email began flying, which I ignored. Is this for real, bro? Are you just fucking with us again? Etc. I got up from the computer and giggled, having successfully started another shitstorm, and walked into the living room. Police continue to search for the Baton Rouge serial killer. It was then and there that I got the feeling that I might have fucked up. To make matters worse, I had previously attracted my very own insane stalker, who went by the name Ice Knife. The fact that I ran the hipster site Reptilian Watch didn't help. Plus, I was in a somewhat edgy death metal band of some slight underground renown, Gortitian. Here's a fun death threat letter I got from Ice Knife in the mail. See link below. Anyway, as obsessive stalkers do, this dude was all over the court TV message boards, local news sites, Usenet, telling everyone who would listen that he had figured out who the Baton Rouge serial killer was, and throwing my name around every chance he got, which was considerable. I should mention that a girl had gotten her head almost completely cut off at UL before I left Lafayette a few years previously, and a female professor from Tech went missing shortly after I arrived in Ruston. Unfortunate coincidences, I assure you. A month or two of this, and I got a call from the Monroe FBI field office. Mr. Christie, we have received 14,000 tips, and 15 were about you. We'd like to come and test your DNA. I explained the situation and said, sure. The local field agent was a good old boy, and we had a bit of a laugh at the circumstances. He was accompanied by a DC profiler. She was literally Scully. Tall, bow today I fucked up, redhead. And she was good at it. As he and I spoke outside, we moved around, slightly. She was always just outside of my field of vision, like a ninja detective. Eventually I spit in a cup, and that was the end of it. No, I wasn't the Baton Rouge serial killer. A few months later, I got another call from the same Monroe field agent. Mr. Christie, we meet again. I understand you work for Lieutenant Matthew Stroud. Would you be interested in giving grand jury testimony? But that's a story for another day. TLDR, I accidentally trolled so hard I became a suspected serial killer and got a visit from the FBI for DNA. Article with links, image. This whole post screams look at me. Christ, what a psycho. Did your poor wife think about you just handing out her phone number like that? Seriously. Dude sounds like an absolute stereotypical edgelord asshat. As a result of an inaccurate FBI offender profile and erroneous eyewitness accounts, police originally believed the killer to be white. Police therefore administered thousands of DNA tests to Caucasian men in and around the general area of the murders. Wikipedia says this, so maybe you weren't the only one in that case. A white Caucasian man, that'll surely narrow it down a lot.